Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Today we are doing a tier list on all of the Age of Empires 2 voice lines for villages when you click on them. That is a very important thing to remember because there is that many voice lines. But the ones you get when you click on them, as an example, Britain villager, they sound like this.
Yay.
Or
Grayton.
Or if it's an Aztec villager.
Oh.
So those kind of sounds. Now each sieve has about 3 to 4 sounds when you click on them. And I'm going to rank them on the tier list based on favorite, really good, middle, not my favorite, but still good. The reason why we got these 4 tiers is I don't really want to say anything bad about the game. I'm not an expert on like history or like languages, so I can't really rank them like in accuracy. And this is an opinion on which one I like the most and which one I like the least. Alright, so this one might end up being a multi-parter video. We'll see how far we get through this. If we're lucky, we'll get through them all. So starting off with the Armenians. Now the Armenian voice lines are as follows.
Ayo, terim takavor.
Ayo, terim թագավոր։
Barev ձեզ, terim takavor.
Բարև ձեզ, terim թագավոր։
Հրամանք ձերք, terim takavor.
Հրամանք ձերք, terim թագավոր։
Ես պատրաստ եմ.
Ես պատրաստ եմ։
Now, I personally think those voice lines are very long, and for that reason, I'm not going to put it very high. I think it's somewhere between these two. I'm going to put it in my, not my favorite, but still good. It's not a bad thing, just means I don't prefer that for that reason. Next up, we have the Aztecs. Aztec voice lines are as follows.
Ok.
Ok,
Hek.
J,
Bantne.
Batne,
Komance.
Alright, Aztec voice lines, I'm going to put... Personally, I like Aztecs as a civ, and those voice lines are more straight to the point, so I'm going to put them in favorite. Also, they're just a really cool civ, and they sound awesome. Next up, we are going to go with the Bengalis. Their voice lines are as follows.
Hi.
Hi.
Hey.
Hey.
तो यार.
तो यार.
आदेश.
आदेश.
Now, personally, I think those voice lines, they're pretty good. I like them. They're pretty simple, like straight to the point, short voice lines. So I'm going to put them in really good. Now, I'm looking at the wiki, each civ actually has a translation to English. The Armenians actually had like full sentences for theirs. These ones are just like, yes, ready. That's what we get with the Aztecs and the Bengalis effectively. So it's different. Next up, we have the Berbers.
Yeah.
Azul.
Azul.
Vjdov.
Dos.
That's probably my favorite voice line. That the male villager, like on the wiki, it just says question, question, question. And then you got the last one.
Lekwamar.
Lakmarma.
So Berbers, when I first played as Berbers, I would have probably put them in the middle. At the moment, I think they're really good, if not my favorite, but I'm going to keep them in really good for now. Next up, we have the Bohemians. Their voice lines are as follows.
Ano,
Ano,
zdař Bůh.
dař Bůh.
Jsem připravena.
Jsem připraven.
Co žádáš?
Co žádáš?
I think we can put the Bohemians, I grabbed the wrong one. Those voice lines, I don't mind them. They don't really stick out to me that too much, so I'm going to put them in the middle. Next up, we have the Britons. Britain voice lines are as follows.
Yay.
Yay.
Grayton.
Grayton.
Ready.
Ready.
Mandatum.
Mandatum.
Those voice lines, short and sweet, I do like that. I'm going to put them in really good. Almost favorite, because it is an older civ. The older civs kind of get bumped up a bit easier than the newer ones, but that's probably a bit of nostalgia talking. So I'm going to try not to let that judgment, but just so you know, it might. Next up, we have Bulgarians. Their voice lines are as follows.
Да.
Да.
Здрав будь.
Здрав будь.
Аз готова.
Аз готов.
Приказания.
Приказания.
Now those voice lines, they're pretty straight to the point, a little bit long, but I do very much enjoy this civ, so we are going to put them at, I think, really good. They're not, somewhere in the middle and really good. I'm going to keep them in really good for now. They might be bumped around later on. Now, after that, we have the Burgundians. Their voice lines are...
Si. Bonjour.
Bonjour.
Pra.
Pra.
Vosotros.
Vosotros.
So, I think Burgundians, I kind of want to put them... They kind of like got a tough one here. I don't want to put too many in the really good category, but this is like a pretty good one. I'm going to put them in really good. Alright, next civ we have is the Burmese. Burmese voice lines are as follows.
Okay.
Okay.
Hey.
Hey.
Atebe.
Ateme.
Aming biba.
Maybe ba.
I think the Burmese, for me, they're nice voice lines. I'm going to put them in really good as well. Next up, we have the Byzantines. Their voice lines are as follows.
Ein.
Ein.
Salve.
Salve.
Presto.
Presto.
Impero.
Impero.
Now, Byzantine voice lines, I'm putting everything into really good, but yeah, I think really good's kind of like the middle of the road for me. Next up, we have the Celts. Their voice lines are,
Kid.
Kid,
Kia.
Kia,
Erlev.
Erlev,
Vargara.
Forgere,
for me, I think Celt voice lines, I'm going to put them in favorite. Next up, we have the Chinese. Their voice lines are as follows.
什么？
什么？
喂，
为
准备就绪，
准备就绪，
何种命令？
何种命令？
Now that last two voice lines, these ones here,
何种命令？
and
何种命令？
are probably my favorite of the Chinese voice lines. Apparently, according to the wiki, it says what order. But with that being said, it's still not my top of Civ. I think really good's probably where I'd put it. Favorites like the ones that I like. I would pick the Civ based on the voice line. Almost. All right, Cumans. Their voice lines are.
Evet.
Evet.
Salam.
Salam.
Anukmen.
Anukmen.
Buruhunas.
Buruhanas.
Cumin voice lines, I think they're very like average, middle of the road for me. They're not like, I wouldn't put them in the really good. I would put them in middle. No reason, this doesn't stick out to me. Next up, we have the Dravidians. Their voice lines are.
Sari.
Sari.
A. Nan tayar.
Nan tayar.
Yenna kattalai.
Enna kattalai.
I think the Dravidian villages sound really enthusiastic. I really like that, so I'm gonna put them in a really good. I like the enthusiasm, I like the energy. Next up, we have the Ethiopians. Their voice lines are.
Au.
Au.
Selamnesh.
Selamne.
Zugit Junain.
Zigidjune.
Tuzazashin Sijin.
Tezazin Sisijin.
Now, Ethiopians, I do like them as a civ. I don't think their voice lines really are my favorite, so I'm going to put them into the middle. They're not bad, just not my favorite. All right, next we have the Franks. Now, this isn't any order of the placement of the civs, I should say that, in case anyone hasn't noticed already. But the Frank civ voice lines are as follows.
Oui. Kay. Prêt. Kefé.
Franks, I'm going to put into my favorite. Not just because of my favorite civ, but I like the voice lines. Next up, we have the Georgians. Their voice lines are.
Ketil ars.
Ketilars.
Mza ars.
Mza ars.
Rasach brdzanebt.
Rasach brdzanebt.
Iqos drei marjwei.
Iqos drei marjwei.
I think the Georgian voice lines, for me, are very middle of the road. They're, like, let's be clear, all the voice lines in the game are really good. I think I said this at the start of the video. Because something's at the bottom doesn't mean it's bad. It just means it's not my favorite. So this is in the middle with the other civs. But yeah, they're still pretty good. All right, next up, we have the Goth. Now, the Goths and Teutons, I think, share a lot of voice lines. But these are the Goth voice lines.
Ja.
Ja,
Hey, ja.
hey, ja,
Bereit.
bereit,
Heise.
heise.
I personally will put Goths in my favorite. I just like the Goths. I like their voice lines. Reminds me a lot of Teutons, so I think they do share the same voice lines, but we'll get to that when we get to that. All right, next up we have the Gajaras. Their voice lines are as follows.
हाँ.
हाँ.
Namaste.
नमस्ते.
तैयार.
हूँ तैयार छूँ.
आज्ञा.
आज्ञा.
I think the Gajaras, I think they're middle of the road for me for this one. No particular reason, just kind of in the middle for me. Next up we have the Hindustanis. Play their voice lines.
हाँ.
हाँ.
Namaste.
Namaste.
मैं तैयार हूँ.
मैं तैयार हूँ.
आदेश.
आदेश.
I think Hindustani is kind of similar for me in the middle. Like, still good, but just in the middle for me. Next, we have the Huns. Their voice lines are these.
Timo.
Timo.
Amarmindo.
Amarmindu.
Bilimban.
Bilimban.
Zachar.
Zachar.
Huns are a civ that I have a long history with. I want to put them in favorite, but or really good. I'm going to put them in really good for now. I think that's where I'll put them for now. Next up, we have the Incas. Their voice lines are.
Ari.
Ari.
Kamachiwai.
Kamachiwai.
Niam.
Yam.
Ime.
Rimai.
I think Inca voice lines, puts them in the middle for me. They don't really stick out to me. So we'll put them there for now. Next, we have the Italians. Their voice lines are.
Ein.
Ein.
Salve.
Salve.
Presto.
Presto.
Impero.
Impero.
I think Italians are somewhere here. I'm going to put them in really good. For now. I think that's a good spot for them. Next, we have the Japanese voice lines. Those are as follows.
はい。
何?
私?
俺?
いいよ。
いいよ。
何?
なんだ?
And that's the order that the wiki has them in. I know it's different to the other ones. I was doing like male voices and female separate, but I'm just playing them in the order that the wiki shows me in. Japanese voices, I'm going to put into my favorite because I like them. I've got no explanation. I just like them. Next, we got the Khmer. Their voice lines are as follows.
ចា
បាទ
អេសួស្ដី
សួស្តី
ត្រៀមរួចរាល់
ត្រៀមរួចរាល់
ពាក្យបញ្ជា
ពាក្យបញ្ជី
I think Khmer voice lines are kind of somewhere here. They're very calm, but I think we'll put them in really good. I think that's where they'll go for now. Next, we have the Koreans. Their voice lines are as follows.
예?
예?
준비
준비.
저요?
저요?
대기
대기.
I think the Korean voice lines are actually really good. I think almost probably in favorite. I'm going to put him in favorite for now. All right, next we have the Lithuanians. Their voice lines are these.
Klausau.
Klausau.
Sveiki.
Sveiki.
Aš pasiruošusi.
Aš pasiruošęs.
Ką įsakysi?
Ką įsakysi?
I think their voice lines belong, for me, I actually think kind of middle for me. They don't really jump out to me as much as I'd like. So I'll put them there for now. Now we have the Magyars. Their voice lines are these.
Jó napot.
Jó napot.
Igen.
Igen.
Parancs.
Parancs.
Szolgálatára.
Szolgálatára.
Yeah, I think middle. I think middle as well. If these go up to really good, I think Lithuanians have to go up to really good. So I think middle. All right, the next civ on our list is the Malay. The Malay voice lines are as follows.
Iya.
Iya.
Swasti.
Swasti.
Siap.
Siap.
Apa sasananya Baginda?
Apa sasananya Baginda?
I think the Malay voice lines, I think they're in the really good. I'm noticing a trend here. I think that like the really good just ends up being my comfort category for anything that I kind of like. And then middle is just for ones that don't really stand out to me. But next up we have the Malian. Their voice lines are these.
Io. Inci.
Inci.
Navena.
Navena.
Chica.
Pika.
I think those voice lines sit in the middle for me as well. Still good, but in the middle. All right, now we got the Mayans.
Ashike.
Ashike.
Atut.
Atuts.
Shade.
Share.
Tabish.
Tabish.
I think the Mayan ones go to really good for me. I feel bad that the Armenians are the only ones and they're not my favorite, but still good. But we're going to keep going. We'll press on. Next we have the Mongols. Their voice lines.
Timo.
Timo.
Amarmindu.
Amarmindu.
Bilimban.
Bilimban.
Zachar.
Zachar.
I think the Mongol voice lines going to put them into really good as well. Next we have the Persians.
Ari.
Ari.
Salam.
Salam.
Amade.
Amade.
Ari.
Ari.
I think Persian voice lines can be, I think, middle. Next we got the Poles. Their voice lines are these.
Tak.
Tak.
Witajcie.
Witajcie.
Gotowa jest?
Gotów jestem.
Rozkazania?
Rozkazania.
I think the Poles, might be my favorite. I like Poles. Also, they got winged hussars, so like, even if I, for some reason, couldn't justify it, they're going up there. Next we got Portuguese.
Sim.
Sim.
Olá.
Olá.
Estou pronto.
Estou pronto.
Quais as vossas ordens?
That's a long voice line. I don't think I've heard that before.
Quais as vossas ordens?
I'm not a big fan of the Portuguese voice lines, I'm gonna be honest with you. I think maybe into not my favorite, but still good. Yeah, I think we'll put that there for now. Next we got the Romans. Their voice lines are these.
Salve.
Salve.
Eus.
Eus.
Prontus.
Prontus.
Impera.
Impera.
I think Romans, we put them into really good. I like their voice lines. Next we got the Saracens. Their voice lines are as follows.
نعم.
نعم. أهلا. ألو.
مستعدة.
مستعد. أمر.
أمر.
I think the Saracen voices sit in the middle for me. I think these later civs are ones that I don't get as excited about, so they're going to probably be a bit lower. That's where I think we'll get more of these guys. Next we got the Sicilians. Their voice lines are as follows.
Sessi.
Sesse.
Salutamo.
Salutamo.
Pronta sogno.
Pronto sogno.
Ordini.
Ordini.
I personally, I'm not a big fan of the Sicilian villager lines either. I think I might put them in not my favorite. Yeah, I think that's a good spot for them. Next civ on our list is the Slavs. Their voice lines are
Да.
Да.
Здрав будь.
Здрав будь.
Аз готова.
Аз готов.
Приказания?
Приказания.
I think Slavs sit in the middle for me for this one. Just don't stick out to me too much. Next we've got the Spanish.
Sí.
Sí.
Servidora.
Servidor.
Presta.
Presto.
Mande.
Mande.
I think Spanish probably go to really good. Next we have the Tatars. Their voice lines are
He.
Hazır.
Selam.
Salam.
Tayyar men.
Tayyar men.
Emriniz.
Emriniz.
I think maybe middle for Tatars. Next we have the Teutons.
Ja.
Ja.
Hey, ja.
Hey, ja.
Bereid.
Bereid.
Heise.
Heise.
I'm pretty sure they're the same as the Goths. Going into my favorite. Turks. Their voice lines.
Evet.
Evet.
Efendim.
Efendim.
Hazır.
Hazır.
Emrin.
Emrin.
I think Turks are kind of in the middle. Like there are civ that I really like, but they just had a bad showing with these. Next we got the Vietnamese.
Dạ bẩm, có dân nữ.
Dạ bẩm, có thảo dân.
Bái kiến điện hạ.
Bái kiến điện hạ.
Dân nữ xin chờ lệnh.
Thảo dân xin chờ lệnh.
Điện hạ có gì sai bảo?
Điện hạ có gì sai bảo?
Now, so I'm going to put the Vietnamese in not my favorite, but still good. I don't like my villagers to talk too much. I don't want them chatting. They go do a job. That's what they're there for. Next we got the Vikings. Their voices are
Ja.
Ja.
Ho.
Ho.
Win.
Buin.
Butter.
Bothoth.
yeah, Viking voice lines are they're up there. I'm just gonna put them on my favorite. I like their voice lines a lot. There you have it. This is our tier list for the Age of Empires 2 civilizations based entirely on the villager voice. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.